Bitcoin's price. Man, it is a roller coaster of hype and fear, right? One day it's hitting all-time highs, the next it's taking a dive. But what if all that daily chart watching is just noise? Today, we're going to cut through the wild speculation to find the signal. Let's dig in and see what the data and some of the biggest names in the space are really telling us.
Okay, so let's kick things off where so much of the crypto hype begins, with a huge, flashy prediction that's been making the rounds everywhere.
And there it is, the big one. A prediction that Bitcoin would absolutely skyrocket to $100,000 in just 7 days. You know, it's the kind of headline that just explodes online, fuels a ton of speculation. But is there anything to it? Or is it just, well, hype?
So what really happened? Let's put that incredibly bold prediction up against what the market was actually doing.
Well, instead of soaring, Bitcoin actually dipped a little bit, over 2%, settling around $90,000. And that right there, that's the massive gap we're talking about, the one between the hype and the messy reality of the market. It's just a perfect example of why these short-term predictions can be so tricky.
So what's the big takeaway here? It's pretty simple, really. In a market this wild, any prediction is basically just a guess, waiting to be proven right or wrong. The future is unpredictable, and that goes double, maybe triple, for crypto.
And this really paints a picture of two totally different mindsets in the crypto world. On one hand, you've got all that hype, the get-rich-quick claims that fuel all the short-term gambling. But on the other hand, you have the patient, long-term view that understands just how unpredictable this whole thing really is.
Okay, so if trying to guess the next 7 days is kind of useless, what's a better way to think about Bitcoin? Well, let's switch gears and explore a completely different point of view.
And for that, let's bring in Michael Saylor. He's one of the biggest institutional investors in Bitcoin out there, and he is not someone who's glued to the daily price charts. No, he's looking at something much bigger. See, for Saylor, the price you see on any given day, that's not the main story. The real value, the true revolution here, is that Bitcoin offers people actual financial freedom and direct control over their own money. It's less of a financial argument and more of a philosophical one.
And you know what? This long-term vision makes a ton of sense when you just zoom out. So let's forget the last 7 days. Let's look at the last few years.
Just look at these numbers. Back in December 2019, a single Bitcoin was worth a little over $7,000. Today, even with some recent dips, it's hanging out around $90,000. That kind of timeline completely reframes the whole conversation, doesn't it? It shifts it away from these little drops and towards massive, long-term growth.
I mean, just look at this chart. That tiny little bar on the left, that's where we were just a few years ago. The huge bar on the right is today. When you see it like this, that 2% dip starts to look pretty insignificant, right?
So when you piece all of this together, the crazy predictions, the market reality, the big picture philosophy, the history, it all leads to one massive question about where Bitcoin is really heading.
And maybe the most important insight here is that we are still in the very early days of what could be an epic period of transition. Despite all the headlines and all the price swings, Bitcoin's full potential as a technology, it's probably still completely untapped.
And this brings us to the final, powerful conclusion from our source. After weighing all the evidence, Valerio Rossi lands on this really firm conviction about Bitcoin's ultimate destiny.
So we'll leave you with this question to think about. If you tune out all the daily noise and the wild predictions, is this where we're headed? Is Bitcoin not just a speculative asset, but actually the future of money itself? Now that is the billion-dollar question. Thanks for tuning in.